Maybe you haven't thought about it for a while, just how important your girlfriends are. And
Yeah.
for our men listening, to understand that difference.
Did you push record?
Thanks so much for tuning into Our Second Act with Paige and Silka.
For your second act of life. Hey, Silka.
Hi, Paige. Today we have a fun subject,
hmm
both that's very near and dear to both of our hearts, and a very important topic the more we talk about it, and that is the importance of friendship, especially at this age, the support of our female friends. And I say female because there is a difference between how men bond and how women bond. And you just had a wonderful experience with some of your old friends that we want to talk about and just kind of discuss why this is so important at this point in our lives.
So, if you think about it, by the time we reach 50, we might have moved to different places. People might have had divorces and we know this when we get divorced, which friends do we keep? Which friends go to the significant other? Who do you feel comfortable around? And as you age too, if you have moved away, maybe you're in a place where you can't find that same connection with people that you used to either live close by or friends who you met years and years ago. Because I told you, Silka, that I just had a girls' weekend with my college roommates. And, we reconnected a couple of years ago, and it was great because we picked up right where we left off. And if you think about it, friends like that, they knew you when you were 17 years old. And when you're in college, you do crazy ass things. Things occur with relationships. Like your vulnerability is really wide, really open. You talk about really intense things. Like that's a time in your life when someone really sees you because you haven't masked a lot by that time. So you grow so much through the years. And if you can reconnect with people from your earlier years, you'd be amazed that there's those people that you can pick right back up from, and they know you like the back of your hand. And you don't have to mask, there's no judgment. Things are light, it's funny, but then when you have to talk about serious things, you know how each other is going to be with each other, which is great. And then, of course, there's times that you reconnect with people from your past and you go, wow, maybe they've stayed stuck in their life, they haven't grown, and it's different. So it can't happen for everyone, but reconnecting with people who you go, you know what, I really miss them, or I'd really like to reach back out. And you and I talk about this. If you go on Facebook, look how many times people are reconnecting with you, Silka, are reconnecting with me from years prior. I see this thing that goes on after 50 where you're trying to reconnect because you're trying to find, that connection that maybe's been lost through the years that you had when you were younger. So does that make sense?
Oh, well, yeah, of course, it makes great sense to me. I mean, as you know, that's how this whole show started, is when
Yes. So
I
why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, and most people know by now, and it's written all over our website. But when I got divorced right after 50, when I left Texas and came back to California, I reconnected with my old friends,
hmm
and just what as you're describing, you talked about stuff back then that still applies today. That was one of
Yes.
our big
Yes.
big eye openers, and yeah, there's just something almost sacred about that. One thing that is I think is different with friendships at this age too is you tend to spend more time with fewer people because I think we know what we really want in our lives, what's
Yes.
important, and just people that network of friends that we hopefully all have that builds us up when we have a lot of down times now.
And not only that too, because those are really good points, but also who else can understand what you're going through after 50 than people who have been going through it after 50? So like when we were all together this weekend, we were just catching up with, wow, do you remember what it was like in college? What were our 20s like, our 30s, our 40s, and now we're in our 50s. So there's this theme that you can really connect to of life experiences and life losses and like big things that happen and little things that happen. And one of my friends this weekend, after we all got back, because we don't live They're on one side of the country, I'm in the other side of the country. And, something had happened with one of her daughters, and she was texting us, and she's like, you know what? I'm so glad that I have someone to talk to that won't judge, that I can share this stuff with, and because when you reconnect, you're, I know I keep using the words reconnecting, but when you reconnect and spend time with each other, you get more comfortable again. And it's like, oh my gosh, let me reach out and share this with you. Or, can you give me support with here? Or I have some fear here. And there's this natural kind of thing that happens because you've already been through so much together through the years that here you are rallying back up again. And one of my friends had said something this weekend. She's like, gosh, I wish we would have reconnected so much earlier. And my response was, you know what? I'm glad we didn't, because after 50, I feel like it's even needed more. And, I feel like you stay together longer with friends that you reconnect after 50, because so many times, like you said, we feel alone or we feel isolated, and we know who we want to connect with now and what our needs are in a really different way.
Yeah. Well, and different than, as we alluded to earlier, than men, because there is that
Yes,
emotional connection that women
yes,
have in their
yes.
life. in their li-
Crave it. Like when I left them, we were all crying because you don't get the same connection with a man. Sorry, this is not a hit, but it's just how it is, that you do with girlfriends. There's just this bond, there's just this emotional connection. And it's so simple and it's so easy, and you don't have to work at it or draw shit out of somebody. It's just, because we all get it.
Well, and with men is, Paul, for example, my boyfriend, uh, he has tons of friends and tons of great friends that he stays with, from high school,
Right.
male friends I'm talking about now. And, their connection is golf on the golf course and talking
Yeah.
about really nothing, nothing that means anything.
At least to a woman. For men,
Exactly.
it
That's what
all
I mean.
means so much to them, but
Yeah.
for women, we want to get into the dirt. We want to like dig deep. We want to share things and talk about experiences. We want to laugh and cry and just it's like this soulful, deep connection that most of the time you can only get with your girlfriends. That's why girlfriends are so important. And one of my friends said this weekend, you know, if our husbands all die early, we should be the new golden girls of the new era. So, we were already talking about decades down the road, So not that we want that to happen, but it's that whole thing of, who do you connect with? Who do you want to bond with? Your girlfriends.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Paige, we're coming to the end already. Chit chatting here, our girlfriend time, and I
See,
think
goes so fast.
I think for me, as I'm asking you to sum this up, but it is just yes, it's somewhat obvious that friendships are important, but maybe you haven't thought about it for a while, just how important your girlfriends are, and
Yeah.
for our men listening to understand that difference, and maybe why sometimes we clash or irritate you when we want to be more emotional or discuss more emotionally. It's just that's how we're different, and it's nice when you have your girlfriends to do that with, Paige.
I'm going to agree with you because we as women want to connect. So when we're asking you things and we're trying to pull things out, and men are like, "What?" Like it's almost an irritation at times because I get that sometimes with my husband, especially since I just came back from a girl weekend and I was filled up and connecting. So I want to keep connecting. He's like, "What? What are you doing?" So we just need to connect. So good point too, Silka, that if you haven't thought about reconnecting with friends, you know, test the waters, reach out, because I guarantee you somebody else out there wants to reconnect as well too, because girlfriends need girlfriends.
I agree. Your chair is squeaky.
I know it's squeaky. What can I say? There's a screw in there that just can't screw tightly anymore.
Paige, we'll see you next time on Our Second Act with Paige and Silka.
For your second active life.
Bye bye. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. The button is right over here. Just click on through to YouTube, and when you see that little bell right next to the subscribe button, be sure to hit that too. It'll notify you every time we release a new video. See you soon.